Okay, second video. Let's start working with the components with the conceptual mass and how do we create again all of this modeling by phase. So it's actually very simple. If we click wall here, and again you can go also under wall by phase, it's exactly the same. I'm gonna use this one's wall. If you were in a traditional way of working with projects, you would just start drawing the lines and say from where to where. So here what you do is actually select the type. For example, it's exterior brick or metal stud. You will assign a location line. So I'm going to just leave it as a default finished face exterior, and you can select a face. Okay, as you can see, it went towards the interior. I'm going to select a different location face, interior, and you see it goes outwards. In this case, we probably want to use this second option, so I'm going to escape that and Control C a couple times. It's as simple as that. You go to roof, you select the type of roof, say with rafters, and you can select the phase one roof and say create roof. In this case, going downwards, but you can also select the roof itself and then give it a series of offsets that it will move it vertically. Okay, I'm going to Control C that too. Floors is a bit different. You need to first select the mass. You say mass floors, and it will open up levels. So the question is, where are my levels? So I'm going to cancel that, and I recommend before doing anything in terms of creating walls, roofs, or floors that you always check your levels. So to check your levels, you should go to elevations, or if you have a section already, to sections, and see where your levels are. Okay, so I'm just gonna, you can change the levels by clicking on the number. Say like 12, for example, and it will move to, or you can just create more levels by going to architecture levels. I'm gonna make one, for example, I'm gonna just put it randomly for now. Snap into the beginning and end, clicking 2 times left and right, and then I'm gonna say move. So move from here to there exactly. And this is 21.2, exactly what we had in Rhino, if you remember. And I'm going to keep it there. The second I introduce the level, introduce the view, I can go and see from. Okay. Good. I'm going to leave it like that, or I can even make this 10. It could be a floor or even 11. Just to give an example of how we can make floors from this. I'm going to go to the 3D. And again, I'm going to select the floor, the massing, say mass floors, and I'm going to select 3 levels. Say okay, okay, and now I can go to massing inside and say floors. Allows me to select these massing floors. These are actually not floors, these are massing floors. So we select first the type of floor, say concrete or metal deck, and we can select as many floors as we want. The top is actually a roof, so it's not created, and say create floors. Good. I'm gonna just do again this idea of the walls. Finished face, interior. I'm gonna select like the brick or metal studs. I'm gonna select this one, and this is gonna be an interior partition. So I'm gonna escape that, create another wall by face. I'm gonna do an interior partition, 6 1/8 inch partition is 2-hour rating. And I'm going to also say finished face interior. Click there. Okay. I'm going to do the roof. I'm going to create a basic roof with rafters. I'm going to select here and say create roof. Okay. This roof, we can see its dimension is actually 8 inches, so we can offset it if we wanted 8 inches above this. Just saying, for example, 8 here. And apply, and it will move exactly upwards. You can also just change this very easily, like clicking on this little arrow. It's some kind of a manual work. Normally, if it was a serious kind of a construction document project, I would recommend changing the top constraint to have 8 inches higher. In this case, would be 10 inches, no? To go up there. 10 inches higher. Remember that beam is a parametric tool, and the most important thing is that you have control of the parameters that you introduce in all the time. Okay, good. And the last phase is going to be the last option I haven't talked about, the curtain system. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to actually select the curtain system that I want. There's only one, so I'm going to just edit type and duplicate. So I have my option, and you can even call it 713, and you can call it option 1, because you might have several options later on. You don't even need these names. And you can say it's okay. So you make sure you're working with your current system there. Okay. Now I'm going to select that phase. Remember, you could select many things, so be careful. You want to select the phase of that conceptual mask. You select it and then create system. Okay. Escape. The current system has many ways of working with it. You can select it. You can select many parts of it. You can select the grids. This is the dashed blue line. You can actually select the grids, unpin, and move the grids around, both horizontally or vertically. You can also select the panels by tabbing. I tap 2 times and click there. That's a panel. In this case, it's a glaze. It's a glass panel. But you can also select once this kind of a dashed line that goes through the periphery of that curtain wall. That will be selecting the entire system. If you do that, you can edit the types and you can change many parameters that you're given here. For example, the number of grids, as I said before, these are grids, and these are potential divisions of panels and potential location of mullions, as simple as that. So you could say fixed number, for example, for grid 1, which is most probably the vertical, I'm not sure, let's see. And grid 2, fixed number. Say apply, there you go. You say okay, and select again that current grid. Here's the number, 4. Okay, you can change this very easily now by saying 10 and getting a different grid configuration. Again, what we had before was actually, instead of fixed number, fixed distance, which is actually a good option as well. And you can set this distance here to be smaller. So the distance between each of the grids is actually 2, no? But I'm just going to leave it as fixed number. Okay. Sometimes you may have this idea that you have 2 grids, which is very funny. In theory, you can actually delete the grids. I selected and deleted. That's because I unpinned it before. Okay, but this is why not a good option. And you can also again select this curtain system and locate mullions. Now the interior mullions will be the interior ones, and then these are the border types, like one side and another side. And here's where you locate the type of mullion you want. No? So just to keep it simple, I'm going to say rectangular, 1 inch square for border ones. Sorry, I'm going to make this one so 1. Actually, I could do the borders a bit thicker, like 1.5 and 2.5. And then this is going to be 1 inch square, then 1.5, 2.5, just to keep it simple. But you can configure your mullions in many ways. As you can see, there's many types of mullions, and you can even create your own mullions. Okay, I'm going to say okay, and automatically you get the mullions there. I don't know if you see them. It will be shown in sections, elevations, and everything. Okay, so we have also a possible offset here that we probably want to manage. So let's select this concrete or metal deck. This is actually a 3 inches. So if we select these walls, by the way, you can select several things, just pressing control, and I'm just gonna take the base constraint to be minus 3 inches, which is exactly the dimension of the metal deck. If it's not, it could be, as you can see right now. How can we see how this floor is in more detail? Both floors and walls, you have the edit type option and edit the structure, and it gives you here a preview. You can have actually by section, and you can zoom in and pan around, and you can see all of the layers one by one that conforms that specific wall. And obviously, since you can duplicate the wall, you can create, insert more layers, delete, move the organization of the layers. This is from interior to exterior, and whatever is inside of the core boundary, this is the structural condition of the structural layer of that wall. Okay, so again, we can, as you click here on the number, it also turns blue the layer you're dealing with, which is important. This will be the material. So if the exterior material here is brick and it says brick common, it will actually render from the outside in this case, and clicking in that button there as the material mentioned here in appearance, which is this kind of a brick common. I'm going to cancel that. And if you render from the interior, it will render as the material of the gypsum wall board. If I click here on the corner, this is the material, and in appearance that would be the rendering, kind of a whitey material. Okay, so I'm just not going to change any of this, but that said, we can also see the floor layers by going to edit here, and you can see that you have a structure and structure on deck, metal deck. It's 5 inches, so it's actually not 3 inches as I thought. So let's select again by pressing Control each of those walls. I'm going to leave this one, it's not, but that's actually a wall. You can select it as well and change that setting and just make a -5 inches. Apply, and there you go. Simple. So in the top base offset, that was correct. I don't know what happened with the top one now. You can always do it manually here, just snap in. In theory, shouldn't have changed that. No? There you go. Good. So we have pretty much like the exterior shell of our project. We're definitely not going to use this floor, but it was just an example for you to know how do we place floors in a conceptual mass. I must say that if we check the elements we have here, we can always select a lot of things and press on this filter button, which is very, very useful, and it tells you everything that you have selected, including curtain panels, again the panels, the grids of the curtain system, and the curtain wall molding, so that every curtain wall has all of these elements at the same time. We have selected floors, we have selected roofs, walls, and 2 elements that are called mass and mass floors. These, we need them to create the floors and the walls, and we created the mass floors from the massing options. So in that sense, we don't need anymore the masses and the mass floor, but they're there. So we have to be careful that if you want to start taking this out to InDesign, you always have to just check here and make sure that the massings and mass floors are turned off. Okay, at this point we can go to the levels and see the plans at each level. If we had ceilings, we could go to the ceiling plans. We could see the elevations from the outside. We can organize the levels if we want to, although they're not going to be in your panel. Okay, the elevations are there. You can also create sections very fast. I recommend going to the floor plans and clicking here on section. You can place 2 sections very easily. Okay, you can navigate around the views. The second I introduce a section, they're placed here. I can double click there, or I can just double click on the triangle and here to go to that section directly. Okay. So all this material is potential material that can go very easily to your InDesign. Okay, obviously we're not there yet in terms of project. This is pretty much the shell. The next project will allocate an interior conceptual mass that's a bit more complex, the skin or the void, and we're going to start selecting different faces to introduce different partitions, and we're going to select and introduce a stair, and let's see how we reconfigure the floor condition, etc. Okay, I'm going to leave it for the next video though. I'm going to stop there.